What we realized in the last 2 years was a spike. And it's not just Kenya alone, it is all over Africa, including even Asia. So there's a spike because the demand conditions are there. If I may just give you indicative prices. Illegal ivory in markets like Vietnam or China are now going for $2,000 a kilo. That is the highest in history. That's never reached that prices. If you look at rhino horn goes for $65,000 a kilo, higher than gold. Now with those market conditions, the supply system is activated. So people are willing to take a risk because of such crazy prices. So Kenya is no exception. But us in Kenya, we are very strong in law enforcement. And in fact, the bandits we have killed in the last 6 months are actually going to 20.
As long as the demand is there,
yes,
it can be very difficult to stop poaching as much as you beef up your security system. What are you doing with the recipient countries, with the countries where this is a booming business, in China, in Singapore, in all those other Asian countries? How are you working with these countries to see that you could stop this consumption?
We have a two-pronged strategy for that. And in the month of March, we had a regional meeting in Nairobi on rhino poaching, because South Africa has suffered most in our region from poaching. It's incredible. They lose 2 rhinos a day. And so we had a crisis meeting. We said, if they are losing at that rate, that crime will eventually spread to our region. And we agreed on 2 things on the demand side. What do we do with the demand countries? One is public education. We are going to engage in critical information being passed to the people of China, the people of Asia, because people buy because they don't understand. They think these animals are there in plenty. In fact, in some cases, we got some statistics saying 90% of what is being peddled in Vietnam as rhino horn is actually fake. So even that which they buy is fake. So we want to engage in public education, PR exercise in those countries. And we are fundraising now to reach them. In any case, if you are buying the actual one, it doesn't cure what is being claimed. For example, the current claim for rhino horn is it cures cancer. There's nothing like that. It's just a myth. And then if you look at for ivory, it is to make bangles, to make a stamp. Those things are frivolous. So we want to engage in that public. The second one is diplomatic pressure. Part of the reason why I'm in the US is to encourage the US government to see how they can put pressure on countries of that region to actually make sure that they don't engage in illegal trade, because all that trade is illegal. So if they actually strengthen their border security, customs, and prevent these things from entering their countries, then the suppliers know that there's no market, and then the market crashes.
Yes. Many times when I talk to people like the Maasai, many of them who live around the wildlife, they tell me they have never been a threat to wildlife. How are you dealing with the human-wildlife conflict so that the Kenyans who live around those areas do not feel like they're being victimized? And at the same time, they don't experience the threat that comes from wildlife that sometimes actually attacks them or invades their farmlands.
We are putting now barriers. In Kenya today, we have 1,400 kilometers of electric fences everywhere. And we're increasing them at the rate of 100 kilometers every year. So we're increasing the barriers. The other one is we have told communities, why don't you turn this problem into an opportunity? And as we speak today, Kenya has over 30 community conservancies, which is doing what the state does. In the same way we run national parks, we are telling communities you can actually run your own wildlife sanctuary and supported by the state. How are we supporting them? We are supporting them through training. We now have community rangers, and in the last 5 years, we have trained 1,000 community rangers. We tell them, instead of going for wheat, engage in ecotourism using the wildlife.
Okay, so they conserve this wildlife
Yes.
with the support of the government,
Yes.
and they use the wildlife to generate income by having people visit, for example?
Yes, having people visit, and then also getting private sector to take a concession on community
On the
land.
community. Okay.
And I'm proud to say our communities, through our assistance, have gone high-end. In fact, if you look at the ecotourism facilities in community land in Kenya, typically a visitor would pay between $1,000 to $1,500 per person per night. And so we have assisted them to go high end of the market.